Hello again, my name is Gabe Zollner. One of my viewers sent me a request, and she asked me, quote, "Do you think there will be another election in 2016? And then she added, "I have my doubts." And what I just sent back to her was that it all depends, and it really depends on what happens in 2014. And I made that very clear in a previous video as well, saying that 2014 is probably the most critical election in this country's history. And the reason that is if the House is maintained by the Republicans, and if the Senate is controlled by the Republicans with a strong majority, then impeachment proceedings can be brought against the usurper. And if they're brought against the usurper by the House, then the Senate will hold a trial. And I have no doubt that he will be found guilty. Hopefully they can also mandate that he produce his records from Occidental and Harvard, which will show clearly that he was given permission to attend under affirmative action, and he utilized his Indonesian passport to gain entrance. That's what I believe will happen. In either case, if the Senate remains with the Democrats, and if they take control of the House, then I think the United States will cease to exist. And the reason that is because they'll probably put Pelosi back in power as Speaker, and anything and everything that Obama wants to do, he will do, including Res 15. And I've made previous videos on Res 15. For those of you that are unaware of what that is, that was a bill that was proposed numerous times by a representative out of New York. And what it does is it eliminates the 2 4-year terms on a president. So, as far as 2014 elections are concerned, unless a lot of changes are implemented, one of the changes being paper ballots, where you have an audit trail. Another change being that anyone that wants to vote absentee would have to have that vote notarized. Another change that would have to be incorporated is photo ID. If those 3 are not part of the 2014 election process, it won't matter if you vote. Because the same thing that happened in 2008 and 2012 will happen again in 2014. And that's a massive number of fraudulent votes that will sway the election into the Democrats' favor. No different, once again, than it did in 2008 and 2014. Just look at the number of high-level representatives that were involved. When I say representatives, I'm referring to the ones that control various polling booths. How many of them have been arrested, tried, and sent to prison? I don't think there was one Republican, but there's a whole lot of Democrats. What more do you need to know? Anyway, we'll see. So I hope I answered her question, and I hope I've given you folks something to think about, which is to demand that those 3 components are part of the 2014 election process. Having these automated machines is terrifying. We know for a fact that when people went ahead and pressed for Governor Romney, Obama's name came up. How else could he have won 140% of the vote in a district in Colorado? How else could he have won 99% of the votes in a number of other key swing states? It makes no sense, other than fraud ran rampant, as it will again, unless those 3 elements are put into place. I told you what I think, so what do you think?